All right, you're all welcome. And my name is Peter Lowenstein Patel, professionally computer scientist, but also been part of the wellness for the last now 6 years as well. Like how our week began, we're basically looking at invitations from this session that we had with the CEO earlier in the week. And of course, yesterday, we're able to look at some very wonderful training from our emirate, Mr. Hamson, talking about, how many of us remember yesterday's training? The ethics, isn't it? In line with invitations as well. And then today, we're going to be able to share, dig deeper, and then we share on a continuation of a wonderful topic that talks about the mistakes to avoid in invitations. I want to buy from so many other trainings that we have had already. And I remember when we had a training with the CEO here, we're able to draft a script that we can be using to invite, isn't it? Just remember the script that we're able to draft as well. You remember that? Now, want to look at a few mistakes that you may be able to avoid as you invite someone to either take a look at your business or take a look at your product so that eventually you're able to have a very high rate of converting a suspect into a guest, either for your product or for your opportunity as well. Why do we dig deeper to this one? You don't want to be the same person who invites 100 people and you don't have a high rate of converting them to be the guest, isn't it? You want to have a high rate of converting them to be the guests in the room. But also we know that invitation is one of those skills that you and me, we must be able to master at. Not just know it, but you must be able to become a what? A master. Can someone say master? Master. Can everyone say master? Master. You must have to master it as well. Why? Because you're looking at a line of how do I become a professional in such an industry. So let's dig deeper into our training, a few mistakes that you may avoid while inviting. We guess for now, you already have the number of the prospect. Probably have already built a very strong relationship. Probably they know you already. But also, now you want them to come and look at what you have. And what do you have? Number one, you have an opportunity where they can make an income. But also number two, you have an opportunity where they can live a very better life as well. Not to themselves, but also to every other person that they know. Now you want to share this idea to them. Let's dig deeper about the mistakes that you can be able to avoid as well. From us sharing a few common mistakes that you may be able to avoid. Number one, lack of preparation before making an invitation, sounding desperate or pushy, and then talking too much instead of listening, failing to personalize the message, not considering the prospect's interest or timing, but also ignoring follow-up or over following up. When you look at lack of preparations, I want us to have a very wonderful session that is going to be very interactive. If I'm going to make an invitation, what do I need? What do I need? Call us answers aloud. What do I need? Yes? I need a name list. So I need, if I'm going to call Burhan, then I need Burhan as the name. Either it could be in my name list, like she was able to share, but I must have probably know him by their name. Any other person, what do I need? Yes? A script. So I need to have a script that I'm going to use to invite who? Burhan. Any other person? What else do I need? Yes? What? To have a simple tool of pain. Any other person? What else do I need to have? Yes? Preserve the time. The time on when to make that invitation. Any other person? You need to have airtime as well. Any other person? Convenient environment. Beautiful answers. Yes? Confidence. Okay. There is something I am waiting, but no one has been able to talk about it. Any other person? Momentum. Good. Any other person? I'm preparing to invite. No one has talked about the phone number. Yes, I might have the name of Burhan. I know him by name, but I don't have a what? His number out there. So one of the things that so many people go through is usually lacking to do what? To prepare for an invitation. Now, like any other function that you may want to go to, you'd also want to prepare for it, isn't it? If someone invited you for probably a wedding dinner somewhere, do they give you time to prepare or they don't? Of course they give you. You understand? So you as a person, the moment you're going to make that invitation, one of the things that you must be able to avoid is lacking to prepare. Have enough ample time. Put your tools together so that you don't make a number of these mistakes. And then the other one is sounding desperate. When you go into the depth of our invitations, one of the things a number of us is sounding desperate. But also, why do you think some people sound desperate? Why do you think some people sound desperate? Why do you think that a number of people sound desperate? Call us answers, yes? They are not sure of themselves. Beautiful insight. Any other person? Why do you think some people sound desperate during inviting? Yes, Uncle Alex? They urgently want to make a sale. Beautiful answer, yes? They don't know so much information about the person they are calling. Yes, Juma? There are few numbers. When you look at what we had yesterday, we're talking about the structure of your invitation. But also you realize that, like what Juma is able to share, you find someone has 1, 2, 3 numbers, and they want to invite the 3 people, but they also want the same people to be able to show up at the same time. Now, one of that thing that you must be able to avoid is to sound desperate when you're making a what? A phone call. Now, when you know what brings about desperation, then you avoid it. If I'm going to invite, I must have been able to create a very huge name list. You understand? I call 1, I call 2, I call 3 people, I call 5, I call 10, I call 20. The more I play in the numbers altogether, the higher the chances that I will have someone who comes to look at the idea. But the moment you have only one person, and you want to call that one, and you want the one to show up, you'll end up sounding desperate. And how many of us realize that when you're calling someone and you're desperate, they realize that you're desperate? It's easier. Like someone has called you and they're desperate, you realize this person is desperate already. So the way you realize it from the other side, that's the same way they also realize it as well. Talking too much instead of listening. I want to borrow what she has been able to share, that when you don't have enough information about this other person, you find yourself talking too much. But the moment you have a number of information about them, you'll always listen so much more. So the biggest mistake that you must be able to avoid is talking too much. So dig deeper, get more information, get so much of their biodata. Now that itself will always make you listen much more than you talk as well. Altogether, I hope we're learning from this. Then also not considering the prospect's interest as well. You can also be able to be in line with not having enough information about them. Then you will not know their what? Their interests. Yesterday, from what we have been able to share from our emirate, It talks about something to do with a need. That to know your prospects what? Needs as well. So this one will only kick in when you don't know their what? Their needs as well. Okay? And then, so one of the biggest is this one, which we've been able to elaborate deeper, not knowing enough about the prospect. She has been able to share about it, failing to plan what you will say. She talked about when you don't have a script really, and then you find yourself fumbling on the phone. You call, and then the moment Uncle Alex speaks, that's when you want to start juggling the memory, your brain. What do I say? What do I tell them? And that is very common. Not having the clear objectives for the conversation, forgetting to anticipate the possible questions, and then skipping research about their needs or challenges. We've been talk about this one in depth. Then being unorganized during the what? The interaction. Being unorganized. So you ought to prepare enough so that as an individual, you end up, number one, not missing the invitation. Now, a number of us, when you miss one invitation, and then you mess up the second one, how many realize that as you go on, you lose the morale of inviting? When the first one is messed up, and then you don't get the possible, this one here, the possible results that you wanted. And then you call the second person, you feel the invite is also not coming through. As you go on, you lose the morale of inviting. So if you don't want to get to that level, what happens is, have enough of the what? Of the preparation. The scripts that were given before, I don't know how many of us have been able to, to go through them, organize them well, so that you have a very nice script for yourself. Has anyone? You have to make sure that you prepare that. That even what we were able to share yesterday from our emirate, Mr. Hampson, was just a draft. So as a person, you know your people more than the one who is training you a script, isn't it? So you go deeper now, you ask yourself, how do I know Florence? From the script I was given, does this apply to Florence? Does this apply to her? Does this apply to her? What applies, you leave it. What doesn't apply, you substitute it with what you think may apply because of the way you do what? You know them. Is that clear? Yes. So you must be able to take your time and be able to do what? To prepare for this very person that you're going to invite. So that at the end of the day, you feel there is this satisfaction that you have from just the phone call that you make. There's always this common word that people use that says, always find satisfaction in the work well done. That by the time you get off the phone, you feel, you know what, man, I have invited also. At the end of the day, it will be able to give you a higher rate of converting your prospects into your guests as well. Mistake number 2, sounding desperate. We also talked about this one, but also in a depth, pressurizing the prospect to decide immediately. We looked at yesterday that you must be able to give them a time interval. Give them time. Options really are quite very important. So you must give your people time options. Is 11 o'clock okay for you? Is 6 p.m. o'clock for you? Is Monday better for you? Is sometimes you need to, because of the way you understand them, give them the time options so that they can easily select what's favorable for them. Give them the dates so that they can choose what works for them. At the end of the day, there's someone who told me, today you need money, but also tomorrow you will still need money, isn't it? Even on Monday you will need more money as well. So you can always have suggestions for that very person so that they can be able to come up with what really works for them. Of course, you don't want to give them the entire week and you show them Monday is open, Tuesday is open, Wednesday is open, Thursday is open. Not really. Come up with probably 2 options for them and then they choose what may work for them as well. Aggressive language or tone, making the invitation all about you, and then over-promising results or benefits. We're also aware that when you are inviting, then there is no much openness that you're giving out there to the people, right? So many people who explain the opportunity on phone, they're the ones that end up over-promising, right? A lot of benefit for the person, not respecting the prospect's space and time, but also following too frequently without value. So when someone is able to give you, if I give them time options or date options and they tell me Friday works for me after my workplace, all I need to do, if I call them on Monday and they told me Friday, they'll be there. All I need to do is probably on a Wednesday, I give them just a reminder. And then a Friday like this one, just give them a reminder. Oh, by the way, Juma, I am just giving you, I'm reminding you of appointment at 6 p.m. You told me you're very good at keeping time. Please keep time so that we can have our discussion in the most adequate time possible so that we can kick off for the weekend. So you just want to give them a reminder just. Sounds so corporate in what, as you talk to these people eventually. But the moment you follow up too frequently, in the morning you call them, in the afternoon there is a message, in the evening there is an SMS. Yes, you could be showing how urgent you want it, but at the end of the day, the way they perceive you is going to be different, so much different. So make sure you don't make that mistake as well. Then mistake number 3 is talking too much. Dominating the conversation without asking questions, and then failing to understand the prospect needs. Then the other one, giving too much information too soon. People who get on the phone and you want to elaborate everything, and then turning the conversation into a lecture. How many of us realize that as you talk to these people, they don't like this idea of Q&A, question and answer? Have you realized it? Have you talked to someone and they say, hey, but man, you're asking too much? The moment you take them in more like an interview, they end up backing out of the interview. You understand? So the conversation here should not sound like they're on an interview session. What's your name? The more you make it more of an interview session, they'll find themselves all the way, how do I back out of this conversation? At the end of the day. So make sure that your kind of conversation, it is not so much of a lecture, where they have to so much be engaging and all that. The script is quite simple for you. Just elaborate your script, but also anticipate the questions that may come out of the script. If I say there is this business opportunity, blah, 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 you anticipate what could be their question out of my script. So if they ask, do I have the answer for them? You understand? So that you can easily avoid to have a conversation that is more like a what? Like a lecture as well. Then not creating space for the prospect to express themselves. Sometimes you need to have a pause in your conversation, in your call. Don't be a rapper. Don't be like Jay-Z, who gets on a microphone and from the beginning to the end, it's just rapping. Have that a little bit of pausing in your conversation so that it can be more engaging as well. Ignoring verbal and non-verbal cues as well. So talking too much is one of those mistakes that you should be able to avoid as well. Most of the times when you call someone, hi David, how are you? The just how are you is probably wanting them to probably respond. When you say, hi Peter, I hope you're great. Probably you can put a little bit of pause and then they could respond as well. You understand? So that it doesn't sound like a kind of robotic kind of conversation that you're having. You're human beings. It should be an interaction, but also not into a lecture format. So talking too much is one of those mistakes that you must be able to avoid on the phone. But also, this one usually comes when, like what Juma said, when you have few numbers. When you have few numbers. When you're inviting, the whole idea is to convert into guests, but also to go through the numbers quickly. I think the CEO has talked about it, that you ought to convert, you ought to go through the numbers like so fast. We don't say that you just call far because you want to go through the numbers. But as you really do the best in calling, in inviting, go through these numbers. Go through the numbers so that you have space for collecting more numbers. Sometimes there is previously there's a downline I had, and they had their numbers, but you see they had this phobia of prospecting. So they would call a certain number. Someone calls only 5 because they don't want the name list of 200 to get done. Why? Because they have phobia for where do I get more what? More numbers. Has it happened to someone? You only call because you want, if I have 20, let me calculate, 20 should take me the whole week. So every day I called 3. The other day, 3. The other day, 3. I don't want the 20s to get done. Because when they get done, now you start scratching your head. Where do I get now more to do what? To call. But you see, as a networker, you as a person, prospecting is one of those that should be your daily bread. Like every other time, you have more numbers that are adding up. Why? Because you're a networker. There is nothing that pays you more than that as well, isn't it? So most of the times, this one usually comes up with when someone they have limited their mind to basically only those, how many contacts? 100, 200 of them. Yeah. Today morning I was checking my contact list. So far, my contact list has 5,000 numbers. But also I was challenged with one, I was challenged with a lady. She has 10,000. 10,000 on WhatsApp. Only 10,000. 10,000. Now you can imagine 10,000 contacts in her phone book. 10,000. Can this person run out of numbers? Probably yes. Probably no. But also, you realize that by the time someone gets to 10,000, then they are looking forward to even grow them bigger and more as well. I had given myself a challenge to outcompete probably her 10,000. Yeah? I'm talking about Damian Nyamaye from Kenya. One day she showed me her phone book. 10,000 numbers. I was like, wow. I thought 5,000 I had probably had a good number until I met someone who has 10,000. I'm like, wow. That person who is calling 10,000, they don't have so much of the time to talk too much. Why? They just want to go through the numbers. They just want to go through the numbers quite faster so that they can have more numbers being able to grow as well. So, one of the things that you must be able to avoid is talking too much. Mistake number 4. Final tip. So, they were basically the common ones. One being be able to lack preparation. So, we ought to prepare enough. Prepare. But also, you cannot set a whole day for preparation. And then you say, today, let me prepare, and then I'm going to call tomorrow. No. Sometimes you get a number of these in together as you call. Sometimes you get the perfect script as you call. Yes, you have one written, but as you call, you try to get the script well in the process of calling. Some of these edits are going to be coming in as you are into the activity already. You understand? So don't let so much of your time be taken by preparations as well. So lack of preparation, sounding desperate, and of course talking too much. So the best ones be able to avoid are these ones as well. So the final tips of a successful invitation. So always prepare before any invitation. Always prepare before any invitation. Listen more than you speak. There's someone who said, have you ever wondered why you have 2 ears and one mouth? Someone says, God never made a mistake to give you 2 ears and 1 mouth. He knew you could listen more than could speak. Does it make sense? A lot of sense. So, always listen more than you speak. Focus on their prospect needs, not your goal. We all know that your goal is to have them come here. We know your goal is to make a sale of your opportunity or your product. But basically focus so much onto their what? Onto their needs as well. Keep the conversation natural and respectful. Yeah? So keep it natural. Let it not seem to be a robot speaking on the other side of the phone. Eh? Even you see, even the customer service people, they sound natural. Even when they are probably pre-programmed on what to speak. But they still sound natural as well. So same applies to make sure that you sound natural and respectful. How respectful it is, please don't take so long on the phone. Don't ask too much on the phone. Yeah? Don't talk too much on here. Don't assume some of the things on the prospect side. When I know Juma, I just know Juma the way they are. I will not ask them, oh, Juma, how is your family? I don't know whether they have a family or not. So it is out of due respect that when you have a number of these people's information, you must be respectful as well. Then avoid pressure. Let the decision be theirs. Yeah? Avoid pressure. Yeah? Upline has said, tomorrow you must have a guest. My upline said, tomorrow everyone must have a guest. And what happens is, we get to assert the same, what upline has said, now for us to convert it into pressure now. You pressurize your downline to make sure they have a what? They have a guest. So eventually, they end up making the decision that would have probably been done by their guest or by their prospect in a better way. So avoid pressure. Let the decision be theirs. Now, how is the decision being theirs in support of what you want to achieve when you go through the numbers? When I call one person, their decision could be, probably I'm up country the whole of this month. But when I call 10, I could probably get 3 whose decision is going to match with my objective of the call. I want them to come and look at my opportunity. But because I've gone through a number of them, one is going to say, I am not available. Another is going to say, I am very busy. Another is going to say, my schedules are so tight. But because I am going through the numbers, this one is going to say, I probably can sacrifice on a Saturday and able to come as well. So, let their decision be theirs. But their decision should match probably your objective. But remember, you don't have a say about their decision. Only you can have a say about their decision when you go through a very huge number. Some of them, their decision will match with your objective. You want them to come, some of them are going to show up as long as you go through the what? The numbers as well. And then follow up thoroughly, thoughtfully, with added value as well. So as you follow them up, to confirm your invitations towards them showing up as well, and make sure it's so much of very thoughtful in line with the value that you add on them as well. So this is going to be easier for you. The follow-up is going to be easier for you depending on your script that you use. So most of these make a lot of sense right out from the script. If you look at your script, the other day they were challenging us that the same script that you're using to invite someone, if coach would use the same script to invite you, would you show up? You understand? So you first gauge it. But if they invited me this way that I'm inviting another person, would I show up? Now, if you cannot show up with the same script that you're using to invite others, then don't expect them to do what? Show up as well, isn't it? So it's the other way around as well. But as you follow your people who have been able to confirm to show up for invitation, be so much of very thoughtful with the value that you're going to be adding on them as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll finalize with our quote that says, an invitation should feel like an opportunity, not an obligation. It shouldn't be like a must. It's just an invite. A number of us want to make it a must. You want to make it an obligation. You want to make it in a way that the person must, like they're obligated to show up. When they give you an invitation card for a wedding, there are always 2 options. Either to consent, that is showing up, or not to consent. You understand? There are people that I've seen who have been given cards. They even make a contribution for your wedding. They're even being given cards, but they don't show up. So that's how fun an invitation is. That even when you have consented, even when your prospect has consented to show up, it may happen and they don't do what? They don't show up. So it's basically, it should be just an opportunity for them. At the end of the day, it shouldn't be more like an obligation, that they're obligated to make sure that whether come rain or shine, they must do what? Show up. It's just an opportunity for them. When you make your invite as an opportunity for them, trust me, there are so many things that you will always protect yourself from. And a number of them are usually to do with the disappointment. Have you seen someone who says upline, this one was supposed to come, and you see a downline, you see an upline so devastated. Why? Because Ruth has not come. Why? For them, they made it a what? An obligation. But it's not. But you see, you can only go through all of this one the moment you go through the numbers a little bit quicker. The moment you have so much in the numbers, you can easily make it better for you, so that it is always an opportunity for someone either to show up or not to show up. So the decision is going to be on their side. So do your best. At the end of the day, ask yourself, have I done my best in inviting, so that maybe a number of them can come. But at the end of the day, the moment you think that everyone that you've been able to give an invite should show up, you get disappointed so much. That's why they always tell us that always detach yourself from the what? From the outcome. Some people make it so much an obligation. They are attaching themselves to the outcome. They want to even determine the person showing up. So an invitation should just feel like an opportunity, not an obligation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a very wonderful audience.